Welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. We want to introduce you to an up-and-comer. Yeah, up-and-comer, you've been in politics so long, it's funny to say up-and-comer, but you're so young. Assemblyman Jamel Holley, who is a Democrat representing the 20th District, but we'll get into his resume in a second. There's much more than that. The 20th District, by the way, encompasses Roselle, Elizabeth, Union, and Hillside. Assemblyman, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for the invitation.
Let's talk about, first of all, how you became Assemblyman. The former Assemblyman was elected as sheriff in Union County, and so he moved on. And were you the chief of staff?
I was the chief of staff in the legislative district office from 2001 to approximately 2007. And then I moved on to another career with the County of Union. But the same office that I was able to become the youngest chief of staff in the state history back in 2001 is now the same office that I occupy now as an estate assemblyman. And while I was currently in my mayoral term in the borough of Roselle, we had a sudden death of our former sheriff, Ralph Froelich, who was a very good friend of mine and very good to my family. He passed on, and as a result, Assemblyman Joseph Cryan out of Union Township was able to elevate to sheriff, a long-time position that his dad had held for in Essex County for many, many years. And as a result of that, the assembly position was available. And as you mentioned before, Roselle, Elizabeth, Union, and Hillside is the towns that represent and make up the 20th Legislative District. And at that time and moment of that vacancy, I was interested in the position and went through the Democratic Party process and was selected. And then I had a June primary, which my running mate and I, Ned Keanu, who has been serving in the legislature for the past 7 years, had a very competitive race. It was, I think, the most competitive race in the June primary. We were very successful, and we're thankful to the residents who believed in our mission and believed in our cause for the issues that we fight for. And as a result, I was very successful. I am now being challenged, Annette and I, by Republican opponents in the November general election, and we're hopeful to be successful there as well.
And we should point out that since you're running for election, we are going to offer your opponent equal time. But you went through your resume fairly quickly, and I want to take some time on it because you were the youngest council person in Roselle at the age of, what, 23? I
was 23 at the time that I was elected, and was 24 at the time that I was sworn in.
And then you were the youngest mayor.
I was the youngest mayor ever elected in the borough's history.
Youngest chief of staff?
Youngest chief of staff in the state of New Jersey in 2001.
Now, are you getting too old now to be the youngest assemblyman?
I don't know. But I just, speaking of that, another year and another great year, I just celebrated my 36th birthday on September 13th, and I'm just very fortunate to be in such a unique position at a very young age.
It's an amazing political career so far, but I read something in your bio that surprises me, especially because you're representing such an urban area. You're the first African-American assembly person from that area?
I am the first African-American.
Why is that?
You know, I can't answer that, but I will tell you that I'm very proud of the opportunity to serve as an African-American in the legislature, but I have a unique opportunity to represent just every ethnicity. And coming from where I come from, Larry, as raised by a single-parent grandparent, my grandmother always instructed my brothers and I to love everyone and to treat everyone as if you wanted to be treated. And so, as I am the first African-American, I represent and proudly represent every ethnicity in the 20th Legislative District, which includes over 200,000 residents. And we have a very diverse district. Hispanic communities growing, African-American communities growing, and I'm just very proud to represent them.
And your grandmother should be very proud. Yeah, she did a wonderful job, and you came from modest means and rose to this level, which is wonderful. But I guess my question is there something about the political process? Is there something about government that we don't attract enough qualified African-American candidates like yourself?
When you look at the country and you look at the issues and you look at the bickering and the back and forth, people get disgusted and don't want to enter it. And they see it as a very disgusting environment. And some folks don't want to step up. But, you know, knowing what I know and knowing from where I came from and looking at communities that I represent, you have to step out if you're serious about it and take action and be bold. And that's what I've done. And, you know, everyone's not like that. Everyone's not bold, and everyone doesn't want to step up to the plate. So that may be a lack.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you're talking about everyone. And what I'm talking about is specifically, I would think that more African Americans, because they have some issues, particularly among African Americans that I know they espouse, would get involved in the process. And there doesn't seem to be as many across the country that do get involved in the process. And I was wondering if it was something about government that kept them away.
I just think it's the business of politics that people think is very ugly, and you don't have folks that just want to step out, be it African American, white, Hispanic, or whatsoever. But as a young African American, I hope that I can inspire other African Americans and other Latinos and other folks that are my age or younger to step up to the plate, because we need their minds. The world is changing. It's not the world that I grew up in. It's not the world that my brothers grew up in. It's a new world, and we need a different type of leadership, a different type of thinking, a different type of boldness to tackle these issues. And I think that as we begin to elect firsts, and you've heard of many firsts over just the last 5 years of first African Americans, first women. I think that as you begin to elect those types of people, you will start to see that the issues will be addressed very differently, and it'll be a different kind of world.
I know you were part of the Mayors Against Guns. I know that you were against the standardized testing with Park, not against the test itself, but just the way it was rolled out, and you wanted a moratorium on that. What are the issues that are important to you? Is there something that you're going in to crusade for, or that you're going to make your hallmark, or is it just you take issue by issue?
Larry, you know, I'm asked that question all the time, and you know, when you're working in the legislature, the issues are very broad, and I have a lot of issues that I want to tackle. There's not one specific issue, because I represent a very diverse group of people, and everyone's issues are different. And so what I will say to you is that it's very broad, but the main topics is how we're going to fund our transportation trust fund, how we're going to continue to fund our pension system for our employees, how we're going to get people back to work, how we're going to get those that have made a mistake in the past and committed just a small crime, that we need to get them back into the work field and create opportunities for them. So the issues are very broad, Larry, and I'm on top of every single one of them, and I will continue to advocate for what I believe is best, not for me and what my own personal beliefs are, but for the conversations that I have each and every day with the people that I represent.
Well, you're very impressive, and I really appreciate
Thank you very much,
coming.
Larry.
It was great to meet you. Good luck with
you.
the election. And again, we have to point out we will have your opponent come in if they choose to. We're gonna offer them the time to come in and also talk. Assemblyman Jamel Holley from the 20th District, which includes Roselle, Elizabeth, Union, and Hillside. We'll be right back.